Chong Li, the current champ.
He's never been defeated. Holds awesome records, including the fastest KO. He killed a guy during the last Kumite.
Yep, kicked the poor bastard right in the throat. I died right there on the platform. Chong Li stood there and watched him die.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. And viewers of the channel know that Dark Knight's death metal has not entirely been my bag. I've recommended quite a few of the issues. I even gave a couple of them a highly recommend, but overall, it feels like it hasn't quite met expectations of what I was really hoping for. But today, I'm going to spin it positive here, and Perch is joining me. We're going to talk about 5 things about Dark Knight's death metal I specifically really like. And obviously with me to talk about this is El Percherino himself, the Poobah of comics. Perch, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So before we get into the 5 things that I like, have you been enjoying Dark Knight's death metal? It's okay, but it isn't the blockbuster I'd hoped it would be.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to say it. I mean, the core title, there's a lot of, the visuals are great, and there's a lot of things going on with it that look really good, but it's hard to tell where it's going. It feels like some of the worst problems of Grant Morrison's Final Crisis event, where you got just a bunch of random things shooting around. So, overall, as a story, it's a tough one. There's parts of it that are nice, but like you, I was expecting kind of this huge coordinated big event that DC was really going to cap the year off of, and it hasn't been that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hopefully they end this with a bang. Obviously, we know it's going to be 7 issues. We got some more anthologies to go through before the end of the year, but we're going to talk about the best stuff so far, according to yours truly. We'll see if you and I agree on that. Before we get into the details, I do want to say, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Today's the day to subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoy these videos. Give us a thumbs down if you don't. Either way, we want to know what you like about Dark Knight's death metal. If you don't like anything, I guess we'll take what you don't like about Dark Knight's death metal. I don't know, Perch. I'm enjoying doing these videos. That one we did yesterday, the 5 terrible hot takes.
Yeah, these are fun to do. Absolutely.
I think next week we'll probably do 5 wonderful hot takes for comic pros and see if we can find 5 of those. What do you think?
That's going to be a tough search, but yeah, that sounds good.
I've got 2 in mind. I've got to find 3 more.
Okay, you're on a quest.
Absolutely. So let's get into the 5 things I do like about Dark Knight's death metal. And the first one is easily the best thing about Dark Knight's death metal is Jarro. I find this character hilarious. I think it's great that we saw Starro pass away in, I believe it was Justice League. What was the big Justice League Scott Snyder event?
Not No Surrender.
Something like that.
Damn. Now we're going to have to.
I've forgotten the name of it, but I did read it, and we saw Starro pass away. Jarro was born, and he loves Batman. I love it when they finally discover him, and they got to break him out because they need the powers of Jarro, and he's all like kissing Batman, and he calls him dad. I think it's hilarious. I also like it when he busts. Well, he's not going to do it anymore, but when he was busting Jonah Hex's nuggets, I thought he was great.
Yeah, I think the character is fun. What's funny about this is in many cases, I think the reason why this character works is the same reason why the John Kent Damian Wayne pairing worked, and when they were kids and they were doing that, it's some levity, it's kind of fun. There's some sarcasm there, and it's escapism. It is through the eyes of a child. It just so happens this is this offspring of Starro. It's a nice bit, and I think this character is charming in a way that other comics, not to go off stray, but Deadpool has this talking shark character that Kelly Thompson has been dragging around forever, and it doesn't have the same charm. I think they get it right with Jarro, and it's a fun character, and hopefully they do stuff with him following this whole event being over.
Absolutely. It is Justice League, no justice. You already made a comment. I remembered.
No Surrender was the Avengers. So, yes, sorry. No justice. Too many events.
Yeah, what's that?
Too many events. There's too many events.
There's a lot of events going on. But I just really like this character. Obviously, it feels like Robin King was earmarked as the big standout character that was going to kind of Dark Knight's death metal was going to be a launching point from. We did see Jarro was introduced in the Justice League series that Scott Snyder did, but I really wish this was the character that you're marked for, because every time he's on the page, he seals every scene, and I just want more Jarro.
Yeah, I it's a fun character. It's a good comic relief. They use him just enough. It fits.
So the next thing that I think has been absolutely phenomenal, and this is something I think we could have all expected, is the artwork. Obviously, Greg Capullo is the artist on the main series, but within some of the tie-ins, we've had Francis Manapul, Eddie Barrows. I thought did specifically well in the Speed Metal series. Not a big fan of Riley Rossmo, who did the Robin King series, but they can't all be winners. But for the most part, they put their money where their mouth is. Dark Knight's Death Metal is supposed to be a big event. They put some amazing artists on it.
Yeah, I think that by and large they have put top artists. I think Greg Capullo is doing incredible work, and it's just fun to watch him draw these kind of alt versions of our heroes and filling the pages with tons of work. It's some nice stuff, and I think he's definitely a huge talent. Obviously, one of the strongest people working in comics today. And like I said, a lot of these tie-ins, it seems like they've earmarked stronger talent. It has been hit and miss. I think and sometimes tonally it gets very strange. The new Dark Gods tie-in and some of these other books shift the art significantly from book to book, and so I wish there was more consistency there. But no, by and large, the artwork has been really strong for this, and it's certainly for the core series, certainly for that.
Yeah, one of the big standouts, one of the things that I think people enjoy about the Dark Knights, metal series, it's obviously the sequel to the original, is all these weird, dark hybrid versions of Batman. And you're right, I think Greg Capullo's character design, where he's mashing up, Batman and Adam, Batman and Hush, Batman and everything. We saw a Batman as a monster truck. You can tell he's having a good time.
Yeah, I think the character design has been solid for the event. It's good. They managed to straddle the line between kind of evil versions of things and a little bit of that kind of D&D Ren Fair type look that all comics seems a bit obsessed with right now. But it's been strong, and so you can't complain about the art.
Yeah, that's one of the good things when you have a Scott Snyder event book or just a book. He brings in the best talents. They all want to work with him. You're going to get Jock. You're going to get Greg Capullo and Francis Manapul, Tony Daniels, and this is no different. It's what you would expect. Obviously, he was on the artist on the original series as well. I don't know if this is really a standout element because they haven't used it enough. Jarro is certainly a good example of it, as I do think when you have a book, Dark Knight's Death Metal is very dark. It's very hopeless. You need some levity. You need a sense of humor. This particular picture is when we saw the Batman Adam character, and he was dressed up like an iguana and call it in, and he ends up getting run over by the monster truck. I thought it was a good joke. There's a really weird scene where Lobo is in another universe and he's like mowing down like cartoon characters. That was really fun. So I think when they've incorporated the humor into the book, I think it's been really effective.
Yeah, I to me it's been hit and miss. So I do think that they've had some really good gags. They've had some good sight gags and some good bits of humor in here. It has lightened the levity at times. It seems like to me at least, they're a little bit off placed. So you'll get some momentum going with a comic, and then they'll go for a gag, and it seems to slow it down a little bit for me. I don't know that all of it is hit as much. We just got the Lobo Extreme book this week for Death Metal. And I think the challenge I have, why I'm not completely in sync with you on this one, is just that you got the core event and you have some little bits of humor sprinkled in there, and then you get these tie-ins, and some of the tie-ins are meant to be treated very, very seriously, and others you can't really tell. Like last week, you could not tell, are they trying to be funny, or is it serious or not? So I think it's a little bit all over the place. When they've done jokes and they've landed, they've been great. I think that the little gags like this one was a nice, funny joke. It does show that they're not taking it too seriously. That it can be fun. And I think that fun aspect is something that's often missing from comics, and that's wonderful. It's sometimes hit or miss for me. And I do think some of these gags have been good, but others have been sometimes slow down the momentum of the story.
I personally haven't been reading all the tie-ins. I skipped the Lobo one that came out this week, and I've kind of skipped them all after reading Robin King, and I wasn't reading them all before that. That particular issue, that anthology, really turned me off. I really did not enjoy that. I was like,
yeah,
probably not going to dip my toe in that well again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, actually hit on something. I think overall for this event, if you skipped most of the tie-ins, you probably have a much more favorable view of it, and you're probably having a much better time. It's one of those cases where they went back to the drawing board and added a lot of titles, and I think possibly eroded some of the great series they had. They would have been better served to not do as many tie-ins as they have.
It's interesting you mentioned that. When I read Dark Knight's Metal, not my favorite event, but I did enjoy it. But without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, the best part of that were the tie-in, like, origin stories for the Dark Knights themselves, whether it be Dawnbreaker, the Red Death, Murder Machine, all those characters. I liked almost all of them. There's like one or two that I thought were just okay. But I thought those were far and away more interesting and more entertaining than the actual Dark Knight's Metal. Now, we haven't got that so much in this with the tie-ins. I did an anthology with a bunch of origins. We certainly got one featuring Robin King. I didn't personally enjoy that one. You mentioned the one that just came out about the Batman Who Frags, who I imagine is going to be a big part of the story later on. I'd actually forgotten that Lobo was in the story. We haven't seen him in like months as far as the main line. But there had been what I'm calling the core tie-ins. They had a skip month, I believe, in between issues number 3 and 4. And we got Trinity Crisis, Speed Metal, and Multiverse's End. And these are so far and away different from the other tie-ins, the anthologies that we've been getting, that I don't think are really all that necessary. And quite frankly, I haven't enjoyed very much. But these, I thought, were even more effective than the main series, because instead of an issue containing part of the Trinity Crisis, Speed Metal, and Multiverse's End story kind of overlapping where you don't get much momentum, I think cutting them apart and just getting to see the Trinity Crisis with the 3 heroes going to the Crisis universe and their kind of support team, the Speed Metal comic, which obviously coincided with the end of Joshua Williamson's run, where we got to see the Flash team go get the Mobius chair, sort out their differences, and come up with a plan. And Multiverse's End, which I believe dealt more with the Green Lanterns, I thought it was so much more effective, and these have been the best issues to me.
Yeah, I think so. And these were the ones that were introduced at the beginning, at the before they expanded the series and added more to it. These were kind of core tie-ins, and these that's probably. I don't want to keep going back to negative, but this becomes my core frustration with death metal, is it's unclear what the key books are and what aren't. These are key books. All 3 of these are pretty critical, as well as I think last week's Rise of the New God title are critical to understanding where the series is going. Things like the Lobo issue with the Batman Who Frags and other things, it's hard to tell. The Robin King issue, you learn more about that character, but it isn't key to driving the story forward. And so when they've had a core tie-in that is actually a core tie-in, I think they've been strong. I think the Trinity Crisis book here was good. I think Speed Metal was quite good. I think it wound up accomplishing 2 goals at the same time. And so I agree. I'll just positive. I agree with you. I think these books have been good, and I think when they've said this is a core tie-in and this is key for you to read, they've meant it. I would like for them to do that a little bit more or less with some of the other books, so we know what's going on.
I'm with you. I wish there was a little bit better explanation of what exactly was necessary to follow the main story, because if you skip these because you didn't enjoy some of the anthologies before this, you skip enormous key portions of the story.
Yeah.
Because it was essentially, episodes 4, 5, and 6. They weren't like, here you might get a piece of information. They were core to it. But when these were key to the story, I thought they were really effective, even better than mainline, because we got to concentrate on a portion of the story instead of having so much going on. And a lot of times I feel like the Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo issues are a bit overwhelming with the amount of information that's actually happening. So I preferred it when they broke it apart like this.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think that's a good take for sure.
And then finally, and I can't drive this one home enough, Perch. More Jarro, man. He's the best character of the whole freaking series. He should be the standout. He wants to be Robin. He calls Batman dad. He's hilarious.
All right, you're the number one Jarro fan we've established.
I didn't know I was. I didn't know I wanted Jarro in my life, but now he's there.
It's so funny with these characters, with all the work they've done and the investment into new IP and these new comics that they keep trying out. Maybe what just they need to do to reach out to those old comic fans or new is your Jarro solo book. I mean, that's what we need.
I would buy it. I would review all of them. A Batman and Robin with Jarro in the Dark Multiverse. I love it.
Yeah, it's free money there, DC. You go for it. I do hope that DC at least looks within themselves a little bit at some point and asks the question. They've had these characters that kind of come out of nowhere. They had John Kent as a kid come out of nowhere. They had Jarro come out, and people immediately gravitated to them, and they've enjoyed those characters and they've enjoyed what they bring, and so hopefully they're learning from that, because that is free money. Just that's how you bring new IP in and you get people excited about it. Jarro is a character that I've seen, new comic fans and old like that character, reviewers that you normally don't agree with at all, like Jarro, and old time comic fans like Jarro. So yeah, I hopefully there's more Jarro. I don't know where there's no future state Jarro book. So future unknown.
That is disappointing, and it's interesting because Starro's been around for a long time, and the character essentially, there's personality there, but it's hard to portray it. So it's like cool having this weird baby version that has such an affinity for Batman. He's like a smartass. It's just too endearing to me. I want one. He's like the baby Yoda, but for the DC universe.
There you go. It's their baby Yoda. They gotta jump on it, and hopefully they realize that they do have something on their hands, and they don't age him
up too. I think people like that character. So we had some fun here. We talked about some of the things that we really like about Dark Knight's Death Metal. Hasn't been my favorite event of all times. Certainly is not the disappointment that Empire was. Not the disappointment that we're going through right now with Ten of Swords, or even. I don't know. I was severely disappointed by Joker, if I'm being completely honest. But but people are enjoying it, so that's the most important thing. And those are some of the things I enjoy about it.
Wonderful.
Do I think the humor is dad jokes? Not really, but the button, it's an Easter egg.
It absolutely fits.
All right. So, did I miss anything in this Perch? Is there anything else that you think is a real standout out of the event so far that you've actually enjoyed?
No, but I think if we talk about this like 2 months from now, it's all going to come down if they stick the landing or not. It's ultimately the success or failure of this event is going to be how well that ending kind of wraps and concludes. And it can't be this mushy, now everything in the future is possible and people smile and then it kind of wanders off. They need to deliver a good punch for the end, for this to really be something memorable, and hopefully they do. I'm hoping we get there.
Yeah, I hope they don't punt. I think that there needs to be a definitive ending, a definitive winner. If it's just everything is possible, that'll be disappointing. Obviously, you and I will be wrapping up Dark Knight's Death Metal when it concludes, and Ten of Swords and King in Black, because that's kind of what we do here on the channel. I do appreciate your time, Perch. This is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And obviously, if you haven't subscribed to Perch's channel, there is a link in the video description. And there will be an opportunity at the end of the video to select an icon that says Comic by Perch. You can go to his channel, subscribe that way.
Many thanks.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.